What's up, guys? Nick Monroe here. Welcome to the Big T Drop Shot Edition. The drop shot is just like tennis. We come at you quick with all the spins, all the different tennis stories going on. Available on all your favorite podcast networks, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. You can watch us on YouTube and the Tennis Channel app. I am joined here with the big man, Brad Gilbert, BG. BG, how you doing?
What up, buddy? You know what? Probably one of my worst shots I used to brick it was the drop shot. So this week I was actually trying to work on it a little bit. I didn't set up any baskets or targets, but I'm working on my feel. Never too old to work on the feel.
Never too old. Get the soft hands. You know, that was a big thing working for Jannik Sinner there in Rome. And we just handed out a couple trophies in Rome. Jannik Sinner on the men's side, Elina Svitolina on the women's side. And we'll start with Elina Svitolina. Look, 31 years of age, after becoming a mother, she reinforced how dangerous she is on the clay courts. 8 years after she won last in Rome, 2017, 2018, she got the titles there. And now winning again this year against Coco Gauff. But she also beat world number 2, 3, 4 to win the title. All three of those matches in 3 sets. And against Coco Gauff, she finally got it done on her third match point. And from what I was most impressed about with her was her composure in her long rallies. We always know she's a great counterpuncher. She can defend. And one thing she did against Coco Gauff, which was an interesting stat for me, she went 81% of the time into the forehand or down the middle of the court to Coco Gauff, gave her no angle, really exploited the weaknesses of Coco Gauff's game. And so that was impressive to see, but also for Svitolina to win those 3 matches against world 2, 3, and 4 in 3 sets. It really showed how physically fit she is. BG, what did you see in that matchup there in the final?
Well, first of all, you're saying, this is 8 years on since she won the last time here, equaling her biggest title. I think she's a much better player now. And I think that, strategy wise, she used the middle of the court a lot in the last 3 matches. And then she uses the injection of pace, her best shot, the forehand down the line. And I feel like about 7, 8 years ago, she didn't have that power in her game. But I thought she did a great job of patience and then using that forehand down the line and not doing it, overdoing it. So I thought she did a great job and she battled unbelievably well the last 3 matches.
Yeah, she battled. I mean, she's a hustler, Elina Svitolina. I think that's why we love watching her and almost kind of, as you said, reinventing her game in a way, playing a bit more aggressive than maybe she's been used to in the past. And then looking at Coco Gauff, her side of the draw, she really had to fight to get through some matches, had to save a match point against Iva Jovic. Iva Jovic was serving for the match after being up a set. But as we know with Coco Gauff, that fighting spirit that she always has. But, one thing that I noticed against Elina Svitolina, she lost the first set, Coco Gauff, but then in the second, being able to kind of find a way to win the second. But on her serve, it was interesting to stay in the second set. Her first serve speed dropped from 104 miles an hour to 79 miles an hour in that second set. And she ended up winning it in a tiebreaker. And it was one of those things where she was trying to just make more first serves. And we've been looking at the serve a lot. I mean, BG, you've been the coach for her, for quite some time back, some years ago. But the thing is, I wonder in those big situations, this kind of putting a Band-Aid on the serve, or is the serve actually still improving in key situations? And look, she was able to get to the final and play great tennis. Her defense was great. But what did you see from Coco Gauff in that match as well?
Well, let's start early in the tournament. I mean, she was winning ugly all tournament long against Sarah, down 3-0.
That's the name of your book, isn't it? Winning
yes,
ugly?
Sir. 3-0 double break in the third. Jovic, 7-5, 5-3 match point serving. Yeah. Dug out that match against Andreeva. But in this match, she was uncharacteristic on break points, 3 out of 17. And she's been breaking about 45% on the year. But Nick, to your point about the serve, I feel like the one stat that you look at, and Coco has a big serve, and they're using her first serve now almost a lot of times to start the point. So we don't have to hit second serves. But a number that you look at for Coco and you kind of scratch your head and go, this number's got to get better. And it's amazing that that she's winning despite it.
Yeah.
She's winning less than 40% of her second serve points on the year, one less than that in this final, and one ace. I feel like I would like to see her be a little more aggressive on her first serve, especially when she has leads, because she can hit her serve 125. And I think it always ups your, kind of mojo when you can drop a few aces or serve +1. But I feel like now, obviously, she's got great resilience. She moves better than any other women, but you feel like maybe if she starts to use the serve a little more aggressively, I think she'll start to win some more free points, which she needs to do.
And so is that where, if you were on our coaching camp right now and look, you've got a week and a few days to get ready for first round at RG, is that what you're focusing on? You only have 7, 8 days to get ready. How do you kind of dissect those days if you're in Coco Gauff's camp to help her defend her title there at RG?
Well, you probably first and foremost, Nick, after, this tournament, you take a few days off.
Yeah.
Probably work on your cardio. The training, in between, week off for the women opposed to the men it's still best of 3 sets.
Yeah.
And actually, for the men, obviously best of 5, there can be some different variables. But I think more than anything, you probably continue on working. And that's what, Coco knows and loves to do, is maybe work on a few specific things, whether or not it's the serve, it's the return +1. But I do think in the women's game, the return +1 and the serve +1, and I'd like to see her continue to use the forehand shape, because I think when she gets the forehand up, and so many women want to play her forehand to forehand, if that's a pattern that she can hang in when it's coming, it's such an advantage.
Yeah, one thing we noticed with Coco Gauff, they were looking at some of the statistics, and she was anywhere from 6 feet 7 inches or more behind the baseline about 36% of the time. That was more than any of the quarterfinalists there in the women's draw. So she's able to work points. She's able to really make it physical for you. And one thing that we know about Coco Gauff is her self-belief is elite. And so that's one thing that's going to help her, I think, going into Roland Garros and try to help her move forward to defend that title. And so we're going to transition to the men's side. Earlier in Rome, Novak Djokovic was upset by 20-year-old Croatian sensation Dino Prizmic, and we caught up with him earlier today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome into the Big T Drop Shot edition a player who stole headlines in Rome. This is a player who's one of the most exciting young players climbing the ATP rankings right now, currently at a live ranking of 71 and moving up fast. Let's welcome Dino Prizmic to the Big T Drop Shot. How are you doing, Dino?
Hello, ciao, ciao, ciao. All good, thanks.
Dino, it was an amazing run there in Rome. We got to talk about your win against Novak Djokovic there in the first round. You played him in 2024 at the Australian Open, lost in 4 sets there, but then beat him in 3 here in Rome. Did you have any lessons that you learned from that matchup in 2024? And then also, what was that moment like, shaking hands with the GOAT, knowing that you got the W?
Yeah, I mean, feeling was really amazing. Yeah, I played against him at AO, and yeah, my team and my coach, he told me maybe a little bit what I need to do and what happened in the last match. So I just tried something to improve in this match. But first set was unbelievable from his side, and yeah, I was like, okay, now maybe I will go a little bit more in the court and try to more to be aggressive. And yeah, but I think the big thing for me is that he didn't play for a while, and I was in a very good form, so it was definitely helpful. But yeah, for me it was a big match, and it was a pleasure to share the court with Novak.
Dino, what's the biggest difference in you now than a couple of years ago? Because now you're having your first success on the ATP tour.
Maybe I played now lots of matches on ATP Tour, so I felt a little bit players and tournaments and everything. So yeah, I think also Indian Wells, also before Santiago ATP, all of these big tournaments, it was a little bit helpful for me. So Yeah, I think maybe the key is that I played now a lot of matches, and maybe this level now is coming back to me. So yeah, I would say something like that.
Dino, it was amazing watching that match against Novak and all your matches there in Rome. It seemed like, in big moments, your confidence never wavered. Where are you getting that inner confidence from to continue to have that belief match in and match out now against the top players in the world?
Maybe it's maybe because now I train a lot with my team, and we are now working hard. So maybe I think confidence is coming from that. But yeah, always in my head before matches, I have like I know I just every time I switched in a different mode when when I go to match and everything. So I think I don't know, but I think everything is because of trainings and team, and that we are working a lot now. And yeah, I would say something like that.
How much do you compete against and or feed off of the young guys like Lerner Tien, Hodar, Fonseca, who've had some big success, who are like basically your age and go back to the juniors with? Has that given you a lot of confidence that you're in the same mix as them?
Yeah, definitely. I saw also Fonseca, Mensik blocks. I saw okay, maybe I can do also something like that, and it's helpful definitely. And also I played against Yodar like 1 year ago, and his level now is incredible. I played against him when he was 800, so now he's top 30, unbelievable. And yeah, but I think now young players are coming on the top, and we will see how it will be. But they are all very very good players, and I'm so happy about them. Yeah.
Dino, I love watching your Instagram, looking at your post and your stories. I mean, some of the tennis drills that you do. If people haven't followed you yet, they need to, because some of these tennis drills that you do are pretty cool. I was watching one of the videos where you were throwing your tennis racket, then doing push-ups, then kind of doing a dance and quick shuffles and swinging volleys out of the air. Is this something that you do day in and day out in your practice? And is that giving you confidence just doing all of these dynamic type of drills because you're such a great athlete? It's pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah, I before I trained a little bit like that, but it was just like 15 20 minutes of hard workout to be maybe 5 days before the tournament. But now we changed a lot of things about my training and everything. So yeah, now I would say it's less trainings like I post on my Instagram, but it was maybe a little bit of fitness we did, and also some exercise about fitness and tennis. Yeah.
Dina, what habits you admire, with Novak and say Rafa or Sinner, these top players in the game? Was there anything that Novak, maybe words of wisdom that he gave to you, when you shook hands with him or you've seen him in the locker room? He's been an idol of yours for so long. Are there any specific words of wisdom he gave you or any habits that you see amongst these top players that you're weaving now into your game as well?
Yeah, he told me after the match like that I my forehand improved a lot.
Mm,
So yeah, just I keep going, keep working. But I'm kind of person that I don't want to ask someone like Novak or something like what did you do or something. I want to have my own path and to
mm.
see how far I will go. And yeah, that's it. Simple. Yeah.
I see on your bio, it says you're a big fan of Balkan rap. What is Balkan rap? Do you listen to American rap? Do you listen to any other type of music? Is that your go to music walking out on the court?
I mean, Balkan rap is like mix from Croatia, from Serbia, from Bosnia. But
Mm.
yeah, I'm listening a lot Balkan rap and some international music. But before the match is always like some Croatian songs, and yeah, I have like list, and always before the match is the same.
Yeah, Dino, I was looking at your Instagram, and on April 14th, that's when you cracked the top 100, and you had some posts there, showing you as a little kid. And then also, you said, I want to thank God, my family, my fans, my friends for helping me reach this moment. Now you're at a live ranking of 71, and you're only moving up faster and faster. What is your why? What pushes you day in and day out to continue to press on the practice court and press on the match court? What drives you inside?
Of a lot of things. I mean, always it's good feeling when you come back now on Roland Garros when stadium is full and when there is a lot of people. I think some kind of adrenaline is always there. So I know I just want to play a big tournament against big players and yeah, to try my best and maybe yeah, I would say that I love adrenaline and to play on big stages.
You come from a small country, but has big history in tennis on the men's side, the women's side. How much, does this mean to you, the support that you get from back home and knowing the history of what your country's done in tennis?
I'm coming from from a small city, and I mean it's also something big because it's small country, and it's always nice to have good players from my country. So yeah, it's also very important to have a family here and to have all of friends and to support you. It's also part of my journey. So yeah, it's for me it's great to come from small country and to play very good.
Dino, last question. This will be your first Roland Garros playing in the main draw. What are your feelings inside going when it's going to be, you're going to be leaving on Wednesday, going to Paris? What are the feelings that you have inside playing your first main draw Roland Garros?
Yeah, it's also it's on clay courts. My favorite surface is a clay, so I just want to go there to enjoy every moment and to try to prepare as much as I can, and yeah, to enjoy every moment on the court and try to play my best tennis and to see how far I can go there.
Good
Dino,
luck,
thanks so much
buddy.
for joining us, man.
Thank
Good
you,
luck. We'll be
thank you,
following you.
guys.
You're moving out quickly, and it's so much fast, so much fun to watch. So good luck, big man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Ciao.
Thanks a lot, Dino.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Ciao. Ciao. Thank you.
All right, BG. Now transitioning again to the men's side, Jannik Sinner winning the title against Casper Ruud. I mean, what in the world? What else can we say about Jannik Sinner? This guy now 29 match win streak, 6 consecutive Masters 1000s, has won every Masters 1000 event. And look, it had been 50 years. In 1976 was the last time an Italian had won there in Rome, Adriano Panatta. What did you see there in that matchup for Jannik Sinner and Casper Ruud, with Jannik Sinner getting it done in straight sets?
Well, first of all, he came into the final actually having a bit of a physical struggle on Friday night, and then he had to finish off 15 minutes extra time against Medvedev. So you were a little bit like thinking, okay, and he struggled a little bit physically against Rublev.
Yeah.
Would there be a little bit of carryover in that? And he actually, for the first time, I'm not sure I can remember during this streak if he was a breakdown, because almost every one of his matches, he's 3-0, 4-1 down. And what's amazing is during this streak, he has not dropped serve more than twice in any match. And I think that you thought maybe after Ruud got off to that decent start, maybe he would have been able to maybe actually stretch the lead a little bit. I thought he played a little bit of a conservative game at 2-0. Then I think the crowd started to get behind Sinner, and he worked a few drop shots in there that caught Ruud. But Sinner is so methodical, and I think one of the greatest traits to being an amazing player is finding ways to manage your game when you feel like you're just average. And a lot of players, when they're just average, lose a lot. And when great players can find ways to win when they're average, it just makes their good days even that more difficult to beat them.
BG, I was able to speak with Jimmy Arias, former 1983 Italian Open champ. As an 18-year-old, he won the title. He was there calling the match for us with Tennis Channel. And what he saw was a two-part match. In the beginning of the match, when Casper Ruud went up that early break 2-love, he felt like Jannik Sinner was pretty tight. He was a little bit nervous. An Italian hasn't won the title in the last 50 years. He was leaving balls a little bit short in the court. Casper Ruud was able to dictate and use some variety. But then that second part of the match, that's where Jannik Sinner really started to relax, get the balls closer to the line. And as we know, if you leave any ball hanging for Jannik Sinner, he's going to make you pay. BG, what did you see?
Nick, a couple of things for Rude Awakening that I thought was uncharacteristic. One, he's normally very relaxed on the court, and he started actually barking at the camp a little bit and his dad a little bit. That was like, you're not used to seeing that. And I felt like he got off to a good start being patient. But the reason why I say uncharacteristically is his game is about serve and find that first ball forehand. And I thought he settled to go backhand to backhand with Sinner. And obviously Sinner's backhand is not as good as his forehand. But I felt like he should have early on tried to find the forehand, which he did all tournament. You know, he didn't have one of the 10 sets that he won during the tournament go past 6-4. He was dominating guys, and he's dominating guys with the forehand. So when he had those couple of patient rallies going, I thought he should have been on his bicycle and tried to go big on the forehand. Be a little more unpredictable, patience, and then still use your strength. So I felt like maybe he got this little lead. And you know, as a player, Nick, when you're 0-4 against somebody, you haven't won a set, maybe your first thought is you hope you don't get crushed. Because remember last year there, he got crushed. But I feel like maybe the good start got him to think, oh, I could win like this. And Sinner said, no, not so fast.
Yeah. And do you think it's going to send a little wave in the locker room, seeing what Medvedev did to Jannik Sinner in the semifinals as far as extending the rallies? Obviously, it was later in the night. It was a lot slower, cooler conditions. Medvedev just making a ton of balls and making it physical. And that's what Casper Ruud came out starting to do as well in the beginning of the match, trying to make it physical. But, not easy to do that, right? Not easy to kind of make it physical for 3 to 4 hours at a time, as you're going to have to do in a Grand Slam in a 3 out of 5 set match. But do you think this is going to send some waves now into the locker room? Okay, this is how we disrupt Sinner. Make it physical as you can. Maybe you have to go out of your own body to find a way to win in that physicality.
Speak of waves, look at that. That's Pepperdine waves.
I see that right there with your name on it.
So if anything sending shockwaves against Sinner, that's news to me. But one thing you do know in the locker room is that maybe the one kryptonite that Sinner has is long matches and hot weather. I've already checked the long-term weather forecast for RG. We're going to start the first day of the tournament at 84 degrees.
Ooh.
I don't think we've had 84 degrees
that's warm.
in the entire clay court season. And literally, usually we start RG and it's raining and it's in the 50s. So maybe if we get some hot weather, but I do feel like Sinner right now is every bit as much of a favorite to winning RG without Alcaraz there as Rafa was when he was starting to dominate early on. But the guys are going to have to make a stand, whether or not it's a Soderling playbook. Remember, he went as big as anybody could go. Or, like you're talking about with Medvedev, let's see some patience, extend the rallies. So I feel like guys can't beat Sin City just playing their normal game. So you need to be unpredictable in what you're doing and then extend the match.
And so, look, for Jannik Sinner, he's got to be tasting a little bit of blood in the water, right? With Carlos Alcaraz out, he's going to want to seize the moment, I feel like. You look at last year when he lost in the finals there at RG to Carlos Alcaraz in an epic and beat Novak Djokovic in the semifinals. So you feel like he's going to be wanting to taste a little bit of blood in the water there in RG?
You know what, Nick? I feel like Sinner Coach Cahill, his whole team, they do an unbelievable job. He's very simple. He doesn't like to be compared to any of the greats. He'll just think about find a way, the first match I play, get 3 sets. You count them backwards, you go to the next. Maybe behind the scenes, it's different, but you never seem to think that he gets ahead of himself, which is a great quality. And sometimes when you're thinking about payback or I owe this, it can make you crazy. And I think
Yeah.
he does a great job. Obviously without Alcaraz, it would have been easy to get ahead of yourself or have that, clunker match, because where is Alcaraz? But he hasn't. And he's done a great job. I'm saying the guy is going 65 in the middle lane on cruise control, and there's nobody in front of him. It's
Yeah.
like Roll Tide playing one of their Little Sisters of the Poor in the early part of the season. So he's doing a great job of what he's doing. And if I'm on his team, keep doing what you're doing, buddy.
Well, BG, you know what's going to be fun for us is we're going to have the Roland Garros preview show this Thursday. We will be dissecting the draws on the men's and women's side. So there will be no release of an episode this Wednesday. You'll be able to listen and catch us on the Big T on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, all the podcast networks. Watch us on YouTube and the TC app. Looking forward to that, BG. What do you think?
Listen, I'm fired up already about the draw. And the one thing that you got to think about, can I be on the non-Sinner half? Because if you're on that non-Sinner half, there's a lot of opportunity. And I think somebody unexpectedly is going to make a deep run at RG with that opportunity. On the women's side, I think we could have about 15 different people could win this tournament.
Looking forward to talking to you soon, buddy.
Back at you, buddy. Like the Jordan shirt.
Yes, sir. MJ, let's go.